Hello, my name is Davina, and hi to all of you bold, beautiful, brilliant, and highly evolved souls. Today's topic is hypo-arousal. And I also have a video on both hyper and hypo-arousal, so you might want to check that one out too. I feel like hyper-arousal is a little bit maybe more well-known, the kind of the fight and flight response, whereas the hypo-arousal maybe is not quite so well known, or it surely wasn't to me. So that's why I want to do a separate video on just hypo-arousal. So hypo-arousal is also called kind of the collapse mode. It's where your parasympathetic nervous system has sort of taken over and has become the dominant. And yeah, it's kind of like in terms of like survival, it's almost like playing dead. You've become so like you can really go to a very low state of arousal, where maybe you don't even feel like moving. So I think even within the hypoarousal, there are different levels. I know I've experienced some, and now I think right now, I'm in a more extreme state of the hypoarousal. This is triggered when we are experiencing too much stress, when something becomes overwhelming for us, when we're feeling terror and helpless and a loss of control. And again, this is not your fault. This is because you're traumatized in your childhood, and so now your nervous system is usually stuck on one of the other. It's like either hyperarousal or hypoarousal, and our window probably is slim or nil, to be in that space of regulation. So hypoarousal, it's a very low state of arousal. It's the fawn and fold. Also, they call it fawn and fold or collapse mode, where it's just almost like you've given up, like and again, like if you can imagine, your parents are abusing you. You can't fight, you can't go anywhere, you can't escape this threat. So you're left with just sort of a collapse and fawn and fold. So this is a level of shutdown, emotional numbing, and also restricted functioning, because your executive functioning in your brain is kind of shut down. You might become socially withdrawn and may have a disconnect between your body and your feelings. So yeah, state of also maybe dissociation. It can also lead to things like, or can include things like brain fog, difficulty focusing, again, feeling dissociated or detached, feelings of hopelessness and shame. Also feeling slow, feeling tired and sleepy, feeling heavy, so feeling that heavy tiredness kind of thing, exhaustion or fatigue. And in terms of more sort of your physiological symptoms might be shallow breathing, dizziness, nausea, headaches, poor digestion, and irregular heartbeat, and even sensitivity to cold. And I definitely have noticed this sensitivity to cold when I'm in this hypoarousal. I just want to blast on my heater and like curl up in bed or something. And also in this state of, as I said, it's like a fawn state. So you might just become completely sort of compliant. So just as we did with our parents, we had no choice but to then just comply with what they wanted us to do or how they wanted us to be. And so this can also come back, and we can lose our ability to defend and protect ourselves. So, don't blame yourself if you're in this situation and you find like, you're with somebody and you find you just cannot, you cannot stand up for yourself, or you can't set a boundary, it's because probably you're in this hypoarousal state, and you just literally lose that sense of being able to protect yourself. Another thing that I found interesting about this is kind of the levels, and I didn't know this before, but so if you can imagine, you're kind of, your alert self, just a pleasant alert, and it kind of goes in stages where we come down to from being just alert and calm to then sensing some danger, and then we go into the fight or flight. So that's kind of the first level, is where we're becoming in that dysregulation. We get into fight and flight, which of course again is the anger and the fear. So the fight is the anger, and the flight is the runaway fear part. So this is the hyperarousal state. And then as we go down, if that doesn't work to reduce or, get rid of that threat, then we go into a freeze mode. And this is actually a combination of both the hyper and hypo arousal states. So it's kind of in the middle. So this freeze mode is when you're almost like paralyzed because you're in so much terror, and your body just sort of locks up, and you find it difficult to like move and like to, do anything. It's just like a real sense of paralysis, inability to kind of like take action, or, and then finally, the last one that we're talking about today is the hypo-arousal, which is the fawn fold mode. So you've gone beyond the freeze, and now you're into the collapse, where you're feeling helpless to escape the threat. And of course, the threat probably isn't your parents anymore, but the threat might be something else. And it could be anything that has just sort of overwhelmed you. And it could just be being alone. I know that being alone, I think, generally triggers me into some hypo-arousal. And right now I'm unemployed, so the hypo-arousal I've just been flipping back and forth. Like it's like Thursday I'm in hyper-arousal, and then Friday I'm in hypo-arousal, and then Saturday I'm back in it's just back and forth. So don't blame yourself if this is where you are. It's good even just to know, to be able to say, okay, I'm in this state or that state, just out of sense of curiosity, and be compassionate to yourself, because this is not your fault. This just happens automatically. And I think I will do another video on things you can do to kind of get yourself, out of these states and back into a little bit more balance. It probably won't not ever, but as I said, that window tolerance can be a difficult place to get to, because we're flipping from one to the other. But we can, I think, find, some sense of balance or groundedness, and by taking, some steps to help ourselves. And sometimes I think it's also just sitting in it, just sitting in this like state, and without trying to change it. So it's a tricky balance. I think it's kind of listen to your inner child and what they need, and never force anything. Don't push yourself. If you're really feeling tired, then maybe just go with that, or maybe just try some little gentle stretching, to get yourself a little bit, we want to obviously want to get back into motion, into some sort of empowered action, slowly, gradually, and gently. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm wishing you so many blessings on your journey of healing and awakening. And if you have any comments or questions, I would love to hear from you. So please comment below. And I'm Davina at Boldness Blooming. Thank you for watching.